turned out to be really important, and so that's what gave us the clue that cellular ought to be also.
And of course, the technology's moved on significantly since then. What do you think of modern phones, modern smartphones, and what they do?
Well, I think they're technological marvels. I mean, we could never, ever have envisioned a billion transistors in a device that you would hold in your hand, and with a battery life that would last for days. There were no digital cameras in those days. There was no internet. There were no personal computers. So I think the cell phones today are technological wonders. I don't think they're very good for people. They're much too hard to use, and they tend to make us slaves to the phone instead of the way technology ought to be. Technology really ought to be invisible. But if it's not invisible, at least transparent and more intuitive, and I don't think cell phones are any of those things. The cell phone ought to learn about you and adapt to you instead of having it happen the other way. So we're still in early days, and we're going to learn how to make cell phones, and they're going to be much better.
And what do you think phones are going to do next? Have we seen them reach their limits?
If you look at the way people use phones worldwide, the biggest thing that cell phones do for humanity is increase productivity. And the way they do that in most of the world is talking and texting. We haven't really hit the big revolutions yet, but there are 3 revolutions coming. One of them is the reason I'm here in Ireland, education. I think the ability to have students who are connected, and not only connected to the internet, but full-time, will be learning much more when they're out of the classroom than in the classroom. We are going to create a new level of education, smarter people, and that is going to take a wireless connection to the internet. That's going to be a revolution. The healthcare is going to revolutionize, because today what we do in the healthcare industry is try to cure disease. There is the ability, if you understand enough about your own body, and we can connect the body to computers that can be doing a physical examination every minute instead of every year, there is the potential to stop disease, to actually prevent disease, and the potential long range for a disease-free society. But the biggest revolution of all is this simple thing of collaboration. The fact that people can communicate with each other wherever they are at any time in so many different ways. When we learn how to do that, we are going to get so efficient at doing everything that we're going to solve the big problems. And the biggest one in the world today is hunger. And it's my conviction that with enough improvement in productivity, there will be no such thing as hunger.
And of course, that wouldn't be possible without everybody having equal access to the internet, which brings us to the subject of net neutrality, which I know is something that you're interested in. Are you concerned about the current debate about net neutrality?
I'm very much concerned, because our government has announced that they are proposing to allow people to buy priority on the internet. And I don't think that that's a reasonable thing. The idea that somebody should be able to buy the ability to access the internet in preference to things like education, healthcare, and so forth, just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I think we have to keep the internet as neutral as possible, and even more, we've got to cut the cost of internet service down by orders of magnitude. If we're going to have every student from the age of 3 or 4 years old till they're adults and beyond, accessing all of the information of the world as well as communicating with each other, all that's essential, but in order for that to happen, the cost has got to be a tenth. The cost of service has to be a tenth of what it is today. And that's all possible. The technology exists. The pressures haven't been applied yet, because what we're doing with the internet today for future technology is providing music and entertainment. I'm not suggesting that we stop doing that, but there are some more important things that have to be done.
And do you think these internet companies like Google and Apple, do you think they have too much power now?
Well, my belief always is in people. And sooner or later, you can't fool everybody. And if somebody comes up with a better product, the people are going to buy them. And if Apple and Google continue to support people, they will remain big. But the kings can always crash.